Last time on Lunaroutlaw's Garage, we were able to find this 1932 DeSoto. Unfortunately, it was living in its tomb, the earth was consuming it from below, and well, the barn was trying to crush it from above. We gripped this thing tight and we ripped it from perdition because this thing was living on borrowed time. The interior was shot and the engine was cooked. It being rebuilt once before, and parts for the very first style of the Flathead 6 that Chrysler made are extremely hard to find, and it's just going to be really expensive to rebuild. We were able to find a 1950 Dodge engine stuffed inside of a dump truck. Now, there's some good things there and there's some bad things there. One, well, it was rebuilt, which is awesome. It was nice and clean on the inside of it. I was really excited. It rotated freely. It had the right bell housing because that truck had the same style bell housing that you would find in this old DeSoto here. You can't use this bell housing with that engine because that engine's wider because it has a full water jacket. And unfortunately, that's where the great stuff ends because we got it running. It ran great. And that's when I started pulling it apart so I could get it painted that I realized there's a small crack. So I wire brushed and realized it wasn't a small crack. I reached out to my buddy and said, hey, would you be able to weld this and do a repair? And he said, no promises. We'll do a Band-Aid weld. It's not a Hemi, so we're not gonna strip it down, put it in the oven, heat it up, weld it, bury it in hot sand, let it get to ambient temperature, pull it out, and go through the process of rebuilding it. That would be just as expensive as rebuilding this engine. It makes no sense, especially for a $500 engine. So we did the Band-Aid weld. As it was heating up, the back of the block cracked. We ground that, drilled it, welded that. As it cooled down, well, another crack formed along the top of the block and through the middle of the piece. So it created what was essentially two floating islands inside this casting. So that engine was junk. So he reached out to a buddy and we were able to get another Flathead 6. And you'd think these things would be easy to find because they were everywhere. But unfortunately, one guy actually made a comment that, well, they're scarce. And the problem is a lot of people that have them are creating the scarcity by leaving them outside unprotected. No carburetors on them, water one of them had no spark plugs in it. So this one, however, was in Vermont, not too far away, and we were able to get it on a flatbed, dropped it off, we got it running. And that's where we're at right now. We need to go ahead and strip the front of this car off. We're going to leave the fenders on. I really don't want to go through the process of taking the fenders off. So this is interesting to me. Someone has drilled holes in the firewall and they've added this. So at some point in this car's history, someone's put heat inside here. That, I don't understand how that works, but we'll definitely have to revisit that because it'd be kind of cool to be able to run like a defogger or something on the windshield. Defroster or whatever the heck you want. Not that I want to run it in the winter, but you'll be surprised how much the window can get fogged up when it's raining out. You have no defroggers. Ribbit, ribbit. Well guys, we should be finally ready to rock and roll. Everything is detached. We need to get this hooked on. We have this, we can pull that out of the way. We're going to go ahead and clean this up and respray it a silver color because, this is pretty rough. So let's set this aside. And get this up inside there, like so. There we go. At some point we need to replace this hook. She's kind of on the really messed up side of things. It is what it is. It'll be okay. Or it won't be. We'll find out shortly. All right. So once we get this thing up off the actual structure here, the superstructure, we'll go ahead and run a couple ratchet straps to keep it straight, and then we'll hook it up to the tractor and pull it back, because it's really hard to move things around on this driveway. Oh yeah. But that took longer than I was expecting. So I'm going to finish the whole process of cleaning up this engine and everything while it's inside here. It's basically an engine stand. It's not like a normal car where you can't get to the sides of it. So we're gonna finish cleaning it up and paint it while it's in here. The accessories and stuff we'll paint separately. But we're gonna work smarter, not harder here. And we're gonna kick our wheel chuck out of the way, like so. And then we're going to very gingerly turn the wheels, make sure everything's clear. I already checked the other side. Oh, the drive shaft. Let me get that up for a second. Now that that's not dragging on the ground anymore, we're gonna go ahead and continue pushing it forward. I'm terribly sorry about that. Unfortunately, SD card got full, but rolled it into this position here. We're gonna let her down while gently letting the ratchet strap go so that it into place. We're actually pretty close to where it needs to be. Then we're gonna put a couple bolts into this thing. I'm going to prop it up, and we're gonna have to make front mounts because, yeah. Internet said it bolts right in. Because everything on the internet's right. No, it's not. Move it on this side. So that's where I'm at. No, 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 no. Gravity, you son of a gun. All right. Oh, we let it down a tiny bit more. There we go. Yep.
One eternity later.
So, there we go. There we go. Lift her up. Too much. Too much. Too much, too much, too much. How are we looking back there? Oh, like a glove. It grew there. All right, that's it for today, guys. Make sure you tip your waiter. I don't know what that was either. It's been a long week. So now that we got it all pulled apart, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing ready for some paint. Now, one of the issues we have is, well, I've already cleaned it once, and unfortunately there was a little bit of nasty still kind of kicking around here. So we're going to seal this back up, replace all the gaskets and stuff that we need to from here. I made a little cover plate for where the fuel goes. I find that making plates, if at all possible, works out a lot better than trying to tape things off. So how you can do that is just take your gasket, throw it in your scanner with a calibrated ruler, scan it, put it into your CAD program, and once you get your CAD program on, you just trace it out, make it about 1/4 inch thick or better, and then you can just put it on here. It gets a nice seal and works a lot better than tape. Now that I've saved you the tedium of watching me strip this whole thing down and scrub it from all the degreasing and all that fun stuff, replaced all the gaskets, got a new head gasket in there, replaced all the stuff on the front of it. I did a lot of work on it, stuff that's boring. But hey, you know what? If you're gonna do yourself a little Craigslist rebuild, go a little extra mile, make sure it stops leaking, Save yourself the sanity. But now that it's done, we can go ahead and get it painted. We can channel our inner Bob Ross and make some happy trees. Anyways, what we're going to be using for this is POR 15 products. Not sponsored. I just happen to have this stuff. I like it. Now, there's a bunch of different products on the internet and things like this you can get. This is phosphoric acid, so make sure you're wearing a respirator, safety squints are engaged, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now, what separates this from the other guys is it has zinc included. That's why it's blue. It's called chemistry. Or magic, one or the other. Anyways, once you spray it on there, it turns from blue to white, and the white is the zinc. That will help bond your POR 15 high temp paint on here. Now, before you get carried away, you have to make sure that it is prepped for the zinc, which means making sure it's free from heavy rust. If it's got heavy rust, needle scale it, wire brush it, whatever you need to do, get the rust off of it. Bring it to the base metal. The other thing you want to go ahead and do is degrease it. Once it's all degreased and derustified, go ahead, grab yourself a nice MAP gas torch and start heating the surface. Doesn't have to be a lot. Cast iron is porous, so it has been absorbing that wonderful oil over the years. It's been seasoning like a good steak, Anyways, now I'm hungry. So yeah, you heat it with your torch and it will change the color. That's the moisture and the oil leaving the surface. Then you spray it with this. Wait 20 minutes. Make sure you keep this surface damp with the stuff for those 20 minutes. Rinse it off. Blow it off with a oil separated air gun, or let it air dry. I wasn't patient, so I used my oil separated dehydrated air. And then I let it dry a little bit because I had to go and get a drill bit. That's besides the point. So once that's taken care of, you can go ahead and move on to this. I brought it to my local store, Ace Tremont's, which is great guys down there. That's where I get most of my hardware. I digress. I asked them to throw this in the paint shaker because I want this to be James Bond approved. Shaken, not stirred. And so that's what we did. Now we're going to pop this open and channel our Bob Ross. Happy trees. Oh, get yourself a nice, what do you call it? Paintbrush. That's what these things are called. Don't cheap out on it. You don't want the hairs and the bristles to fall out while you're doing it. Not gonna lie, I just spent about 10 minutes looking for the screwdriver and it was right by my foot. So I need a garage. Anyways, I'm gonna pop this open. When you close this back up, make sure you put some saran wrap because it will harden like concrete. And if you're lucky enough to open this back up, there's a good chance that your actual paint will be ruined. Probably should be wearing a respirator too, but where's the fun in that? I should probably not put that in there. That's the right tool for the job. Give her a little what for. Mind you, I had it nice and shaken up. We're gonna go ahead and put this right on the surface. I'm gonna try to put this on as light as we can and get this all nice and taken care of. Try to spend extra attention on not filling everything with like absolute globs of it. There we go. Start to spread it. Ah, yeah. This thing's gonna look spectacular. Oh, yeah, while I'm doing this, I'm wearing gloves. Normally I don't wear gloves, but I'm old enough to know a time when you were able to buy POR 15 and they had right on the lid a warning, which was hilarious. I was with one of my really good buddies back in college And we picked some POR 15 up at the store. And it said, don't get this on your skin. For only time will remove it. He, like, not even joking, dead face looked at me and goes, where can I get some time? And I said, that's the age-old question. Well, guys, I would normally say I saved you the tedium, but quite honestly, this was bedlam. This was total chaos. To say that this thing was a plug and play is to say that the only thing you're plugging and playing in this thing is your welder and your plasma cutter. This thing fit just about as well in here as an emo kid at football practice. It didn't. If I haven't convinced you yet to get yourself a 3D printer, this is not a sponsored plug. Grab yourself one. I personally use Bamboo. They're like iPhones. They're very easy to use. I have about 3,000 hours of 3D printing with them, and I've had 2 breakdowns. And the breakdowns were like, fortunately I had an extra nozzle and was able to replace it, right? I had to 3D scan the original bell housing out of the 32 so that I could make a jig so that I could drill and tap to be able to use the original transmission from this car onto the 50s era bell housing, which is mounted to the 54 engine. The actual clutch is out of the 32 DeSoto, and the pressure plate and the flex plate, or the flex plate, the pressure plate, the flywheel and the pressure plate, yeah, that thing. Sorry, it's been like 4 days of just sitting here bashing my head against the wall to get this to fit in here. So the original cross member from the 54 Dodge Corvette was cut out, modified to fit inside here, and replace all kinds of brackets. I actually, back to the 3D printer and scanner install, actually, I don't think I scanned it, I think I just measured it out. Anyways, I made myself engine mount bushings using urethane, and I poured it into a little mold. This thing has been an ordeal. But any good Frankenstein creation needs a little bit more voltage when it comes to bringing her back to life. So that's why we've teamed up with Vintage Auto Garage to do a complete kit, which includes getting rid of the generator for an alternator. Obviously, that's how we're going to get our 12 volts. But we also got a mini starter. Now, if you're new to switching over to a mini starter, I recommend grabbing one of these before you do anything else. Also, call, because your application is going to be very specific. Now, in this particular application, we are going to go ahead and use their included custom bracket to mount this on there, figuring out the angle that we're going to want to have this thing installed in so that we can have our starter clocked. You know, it's kind of important for it to fit. So we take the bracket plate, which fits nice and snug, and then we can figure out how we're going to have it lined up. You can do this with a little Sharpie marker to make sure that when you take it back out, you'll find the closest spot for the holes to mount up. Now that you have this clocked where you want it to be, make sure you send these things home with the appropriate tool, not an impact. They're 2 just basic Allen keys. That's a nice little thing, a little electric thing. Don't use an impact. Don't use an impact. Do not use an impact. You might. I know. You might be tempted, but don't. And then it just slides right into place. Just like that. So we'll bolt this thing in and get it ready. All right, guys, we got that all together. I ended up painting the brackets to make it all look uniformed. And then we got rain and it got cold. We're all caught up to speed. Now it's time to power this. In front of me, I have a red top Optima battery sent to us by Optima, a great partner of the channel. And I gotta say, my family has used these batteries since as far back as I can remember, and I have them in a lot of the cars here, especially the Black Supra. Have an orange top that weighs 7 pounds. So that's 41 pounds less than the original battery. So I actually reached out to them and they sent us a battery and a charger for it. And I'm really excited about it because if you've ever had a red top battery and ever had an issue, most likely it was because you had the wrong charger. So make sure you have the appropriate charger. Now the other things I have in front of me for the 12 volt conversion for the actual swap, get yourself a multimeter. It doesn't have to be fancy. Grab yourself a probe. It could just be a light probe. Just because you have original equipment doesn't mean you're going to use it, especially when it looks like this. This thing is really, really rough. We're going to throw that away. You could go down to your local automotive store and pick up some ground and power cables, but then you're generally mixing matching parts and pieces, and if you want to have shorts and other issues, you could do that. Or when you're putting together your Vintage Auto Garage kit, you can tell them what length you need for your negative and your positive, and they can send you a very well manufactured cable. Now, my background as far as electrical goes is up to 34,000 volts. The lugs on those are a lot bigger than these, but we still crimped those. It doesn't matter if it's a 10 gauge or if you're doing, you know, this or a 10,000 horsepower variable frequency drive. Having a good wire, a lead to your application is very important. And I'm very impressed with the overall quality of these things. They are well manufactured, and they even put a little shrink tube around them, and they come well packaged. From there, before you run the power to the rest of your vehicle, you're going to want to pick up a fusible link or an inline fuse. That way you don't burn your car down, right? It's even if you're just doing anything on these old cars that don't have them, Vintage Auto Garage has a nice little kit that you can grab, and it's well packaged as far as not in the plastic, but like doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's easily accessible. But for now, let's go ahead, start our install, get the battery inside the car, and then run power to the starter and down to our grounding point. So I end up having to go over the bell housing, but I just want to show you, we're going to quickly jump our solenoid. Going to quickly jump our solenoid. There it is. That thing has a lot more torque than what this thing had initially. It brings this thing right to life. You're going to have a really good time with a high torque starter like that. They're awesome. I love them. The next thing we're going to cover is the charging system. Now, this may seem scary and complicated, but I promise you it's a lot easier than you think. The one thing I keep saying though is fusible link. I keep saying it because it might be important. By might be, I mean it is very important. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set that right to the side, and the kit that comes with is really nice. I've not actually seen it this way. I will have to see if I can't get a few extra of these just to have inside inventory, but it does come with two, one to use and one to lose. I would say put it in the glove box, but this thing doesn't have a glove box. You know what I mean. So this is a pretty traditional GM alternator. If you're trying to do any type of 12 volt conversion, or heck, say you're running a regular, my Buick didn't have a regulated alternator. That's the cool thing about the GM ones. It's already got all the electronics, and you don't have to have a regulator or anything. It's all right there. It's easy. 2 wires, technically 3, right? You have one going to the alternator and 2 coming off. One going to, there's 3 wires. We'll just go 3, we'll call it a 3 wire. And we just plug this in like so, and we're halfway there. Now there's a little red wire that loops around and goes onto your alternator, which will actually put the big wire onto the alternator first in such a way that it's nice and tidy, like so. Now you have 2 wires to deal with. Not too bad, pretty easy. One, that's your power. That's how you're going to charge your battery. That's how everything works. So we have our fuse here. Flip that onto this side like that, this way. I can kind of hide the fuse right there. I replaced the wire going from the negative side of the coil to the distributor because we've changed it. It's no longer a positive ground, it's a negative ground. So, right, we replaced that wire because it was crap. Do the right thing. But now we're going to cover what is inside here. This is the ignition module, I guess, the key start that comes from Vintage Auto Garage. Right now there's no power going to it, right? And the reason why is because they come with this additional little fuse, inline fuse that we can stuff in here now. And now it's hot. So the battery goes to where it says battery. The ignition I have going to the alternator and to the coil. And then this is your starter. So in theory, I should be able to bump it. Ready? Whoa! Amazing, right? You can do this, I promise you. It's really not that difficult. Now, there's 0 fuel in this, right? I can, nothing. So I got my little cheater here. Not a lot of gas left in there. Let's try it. Let's try it. Give her the beans. Scoot, scoot. And that's all the gas I had. And there you go, guys. It is a pretty straightforward installation. Now, what I have to do is put the key where we're going to have it inside the cab of the vehicle and relocate the wires. But I wanted to give you a brief overview of how you can get this wired. And if I can do it in my gravel driveway, you can do it in yours. So don't let this seem to be insurmountable. All you have to do is just take the time. And it's that simple, guys. Realistically, you could probably do this entire swap in an afternoon, maybe in 2 days, depending on your skill set. This was a pretty straightforward swap, so do it. You're gonna have a good time, and I promise. You're gonna enjoy having 12 volts with a negative ground way more than you're gonna enjoy a 6-volt positive ground system. Well, it's basically back together. And we have run into a few problems. One, we have a massive hole in the fuel tank sitting over there. We're going to try to patch it because I can't actually find a replacement. So if you guys know of anybody that makes a one-to-one replacement for a 1931, 1932 Dodge or DeSoto, I think it's a SA DeSoto and a DD Dodge. I might be wrong, but I think that's accurate. I need a fuel tank for it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this thing budget friendly. The 12 volt conversion is not terrible. You're talking like $700, $800, maybe like $900 with shipping and taxes. That's not terrible. You get a new alternator, new starter, ignition, bulbs, everything you need. I would have all the bulbs working on this thing, but we have a little bit of a mouse problem. I don't know if you were aware of it, that ate the interior, also ate the wiring. So I wouldn't want to put power to anything quite yet. I want to rewire the whole car. That's not a today kind of thing. But other than that, guys, like the fuel tank is, we're going to run it off of this thing. We're going to see if we can't move it back and forth. Haven't really done that yet. But guys, it looks spectacular. Like, let me just show you the inside of this engine bay real quick. I did end up having to 3D print a fan extension to like a spacer so that when the fan is bolted to the engine, it's closer to the radiator for two reasons. One, it was hitting the top or the bottom of the tank tube, inlet, outlet nonsense. So it just put it away. It also helps pull air through the radiator. So when we're doing things like, I don't know, idling at a stop or something, it will help. As far as people complaining about, you know, I love fuel injection. It's awesome. But a good carburetor is it can be very reliable. This door. We have to do interior. So this is actually one of the coolest parts of the 12 volt conversion. Ready? Accessory. There it is, guys. And if we hop inside the car, you can see our oil pressure is currently, well, I don't have a gas pedal to kind of wake her up a little bit. Let's get back out for a second. Let's see if we can't move her forward and backwards, guys. Okay. Reverse. Oh yeah, buddy. Okay. Come to a complete stop. Non-synchronized first gear. Wow. Where is the little stop? Oh, I think we hadn't gotten to it yet. Oh. Reverse. Forward. Guys, she makes around 45 pounds of oil pressure. She goes forward and backwards. What else can you ask for? She runs great. Love it. This is Abby Normal. And this was my 32 DeSoto. But between you and me right now, I'm gonna give it to my wife. She needs a little bit of work, but it is an excellent car. This is really something I'd be happy to give to her. Sorry for hitting the microphone there, guys. And I'm very much looking forward to road tripping it with her. Now, there's still stuff we have to do. I need to make new floorboards for it. I need to make interior for it. Brakes, the brake master cylinder is currently totally locked up. And I need to put a accelerator pedal in it. So it's got a ways to go. But currently, guys, it moves back and forth. It's got an engine, that's from a 54. Again, I was saying how I want to give this to my wife, and I want to show you something really quickly and why she is just an absolute saint, because my driveway looks like an absolute explosion. There are you guys right there. And that's the original muffler that's totally shot. That's out of the Dodge, which I'm going to try to get inside here. That's my little workstation right there. That's my beautiful bones. That's the engine that I got that has a crack in it, and that's the original engine. And those seats right there actually have the right springs to fit inside. Oh my God. My driveway is a total disaster, and she puts up with me. And I love that. And I love her for that. So yeah, I think this would be a suitable gift for her. And on that note, guys, before I get too far away, we did get 2 companies to help us out with this video, and a big shout out to Vintage Auto Garage and Optima Battery for being very generous and giving us stuff to make this happen. The only other way I do this is by making things like the Carb Buddy, and I know I kind of harp on this a bit, but this is something I manufacture here in my house, down in my basement with my 3D printers. It's made out of a high quality plastic that's, is good. It's my brainchild. I'm very proud of this thing. I dropped many of things down inside carburetors. I have one that sits on an empty intake manifold, and I have one that sits right on a carburetor. It fits Holley, Edelbrock, like the AFB style, AFB, whatever. I'm dyslexic. Fits the Thermobog and the Thermoquad, guys. Lunaroutlaw.com if you want to help support the channel and help support my poor financial decisions, like picking up this car right here. Head over to Lunaroutlaw.com. And before I let you go, remember, hit that subscribe button. Love you guys. You guys rock. Keep your shiny side up, and God bless.